welcome back to your class, and I hope that we will always offer you what is of interest and beneficial to everybody. So I always need your feedback as to what subject is going to attract your interest. So I developed those for the interest of parenting, which is something important. I started it last time with the lecturer. It was about the rights of children in Islam. So we covered the young children issues. Now I want to move to the youth issues because this is what is very affecting everybody. So on the youth, I have three presentations, in fact. One is this one, understanding the youth environment. What are the elements in the youth environment that influences them negatively? And this is not intended to say that the environment is only negative, but I am capturing what is negative and how it influences our kids. So this is the youth environment, how it attracts them to do certain things in certain ways from young age till adulthood. Then I have another presentation about understanding youth as an age group. It's a stage in life where people move between the stage of being children to the stage of being adults. So that is another lecture. Then there is a third lecture which builds on the first three lectures, but it captures you in bullet points. What do we need to do with youth to give them the best we have and to win them over as friends and children, and at the same time guide them balancing between love and respect. This is something that many parents are struggling with. So it will be bullet points, very simple, very straightforward, but this will come inshallah in 2 weeks. But tonight I want to focus on the youth environment. The youth environment in which we live, all of us, is not our adult environment. Let us start there. Where and what the youth are going through every day is not necessarily our environment, the parents. It is their environment. So I would want for the youth who are attending here to tell me if I am capturing something right or if I'm capturing something wrong. Okay, so take note and let me learn from your side. Okay? The youth environment is more important than the home environment because youth listen to each other more than they listen to the parents. Youth do that because of a very practical reason. They have to live with their peers 8 to 10 hours a day. So they have to impact and influence and will be influenced by the environment in which they live. They have to interact with them. So their affection to their out-the-home environment comes from the importance of this environment. That's where teachers are, that's where peers are, that's where subjects are, that's where private conversations are, right? That's where books are handed, websites are shared, things like this. So we have to be careful not to downplay the influence of this environment. It is very, very effective and it affects the youth all the time. So let us start here. Here you see the picture, and picture is louder than 1,000 words, right? So I want you to tell me, what does this picture tell you? First, what is in this picture? Yes. And what else?
And they have no directions.
No, they have.
They don't have a destination.
They have many directions.
It's confusing.
Huh?
It's confusing.
That's what it is. They have many directions. They are invited to many clubs, right? They are invited to many groups. And they have choices more than you can count, right? What else do you have here?
He's very happy.
Okay. So those are the pictures I could find for male and female young people. So don't focus more on the dress or.
For help from their parents.
They are when they go to especially to the junior high school. When they get there and they see everybody playing a model, everybody playing perfect, everybody's hunting for friends and trying to choose, and they are confused where to go. And they came to school with little or no parental guidance. Nobody spoke to them. What are you going to face? In what way junior high is different from the elementary? In what way teachers' expectations will be different? In what way your performance and your time spent on study has to be greater than before? So those basic challenges, they are not shared by the parents. So where do they learn about it from? From this environment, from the school. And the high mark of that environment is what follows here. This is kind of like an active play that's not able to play because of the voice disruption here. But this is the middle image called the society. The society has a wall, literal wall, call it the virtual wall, where things are separate. The rules that play at home do not necessarily play at home. The values you learn at home, don't try to push them right here, even though these are your friends, but everybody has a different choice, okay? The religion you believe in is for you at home. It is not here. The God you worship is not here. That wall that I call the society or the social expectations is a rigid wall. It is not easy to move, change, or redirect or reformat. It is made in stones and cement. It is quite hard. It's quite hard for a student coming to a school to start speeches and preaching and telling, guys, that's what I believe in. Children are not allowed to speak about their faith because it may influence somebody else and some parent may come and object. So they do not allow them. So they have all the freedom in the world except the freedoms they need the most to express their views regarding their faith and to talk about how they worship God, what they believe and why, what is their book, what does their book say. All of this, which is part and parcel of being a human being, part and parcel of constitutional freedom, they do not allow the kids to do this except sparsely. So when they are going through the history class, a history of the world religions, and they give a paragraph about Islam, a paragraph about Christianity, but there is nothing there that represents Christian students sitting, or Muslim students in the audience, or Jewish students in the audience, because it's never enough. It's a less than a snapshot. So the kids immediately realize that there is a part of me that I cannot bring up here in the open. And when you tell a child that, what are you saying? You're saying essentially that part doesn't belong here, and you are only going to be here as much of you as we expect, not the whole of you. So your faith belongs somewhere else. And this is the first taught lesson when it comes to public school, that God doesn't belong in school, let alone prayer or anything else. So that lesson is very harsh for our kids. But here is what the society wants. Whatever the teacher says that the kids like, it's fun, they clap, they support because they want to make a union. They want to be a cohesive group. They want to have something in common. So what is in common more than the teacher's instructions? So they end up being trained to acquiesce and to play cat and to please and to go along and to conform and to comply. Automatically, the society sets rules that are not spoken, and the instruction is don't disrupt what is going on no matter what. It's both impolite, it is disruption, and you can be punished. So compliance and conformity are the names of the games in the classroom and in the school in general. Why? Every nation has a public school system. Have you ever thought, why do countries spend a lot of budget on education? You think that they like kids to grow up like scientists and doctors, right? That's part of it, definitely. But the more important is society cohesion, social values, and values that everybody could agree to. So she is this, but you have nothing to do with her. Don't criticize her. Don't talk about what she does. Don't talk about the way she talks. Don't talk about the way he dresses. Don't talk about his haircut. Don't talk about her hairstyle. Don't talk about this. You may do it in the recess, you may do it in the cafeteria, but don't do it in the class. So the class is intended primarily for two things: cohesion, social cohesion, and establishing social norms and values that everybody must agree to and must accept. That's why nations pay a lot of money for education, to develop what is called the good citizen. The good citizen. And there is a lot of positive values that we learn in this society in the public schools, like the value of public service, the value of civil service, the value of cooperation, the value of organization, the value of taking turns, the value of respecting others. There are a lot of values that are basically Islamic that they have in the system. But what matters more is the value of the most valuable one, Allah. This value is not supported. Why is this important? It's important for parents to understand and for the youth to understand that unless I learn my deen at home, there is no chance I will learn it outside. There is no chance I can grow it outside. There is no chance I can enhance myself as a religious person outside my home value system. And it's also important that I must cling to my values when I am in public, because if I just give up an inch, the sliding slope will begin. This is why it's very important that youth in this age, in the early age of being youth, the middle school, they must cling very strongly to their identity, to their values, to their faith, to their book, to their prophet, because whatever they face in the open society is going to be either a challenge or an offense to what they believe in. Do you want me to go one screen at a time and have discussion, or do you want to go one after another after another? Because this subject of the environment is very critical to understanding what the youth face outside the home. Okay. One at a time? Okay, so let us have some discussion. I want the youth in the group to please tell me what is missing and what captures your environment in what I just said. Did it capture your environment? Mom is not going to tell dad anything, so just speak your mind. Did it capture your environment, part of your environment? Yes. It goes on. I'm just saying where it starts. You know, the shaping of the little mind when the kid is 12, 13 years old, getting to the junior high school. They want to prove themselves. I am this, but they find that they cannot really present the whole of themselves. Right? Okay. Which brings us to the previous discussion we had before. Very important. And I thank you for bringing this. The core of the identity of the child is up to the home, up until they get into the junior high school. So if you don't build and strengthen their identity from before, the chance is you will lose at least part of them. They may not be anti your values completely, God forbid, but they may be uncomfortable with some values and some requirements. So what we need to do is to focus on our children when they are primarily our audience. Before 5 years old, they are completely your hostages. I'm using this loosely, of course. So you must be willing and able to teach them everything you want to teach them. Some of us, unfortunately, say, they are too young, let them enjoy their childhood. But there is no joy for childhood that is not guided, that is not directed. They don't enjoy it. Kids are not like raising camels or lambs, or kids are humans. So to enjoy, their intellect has to be engaged, their spirit has to be engaged, their soul has to be engaged, their choices have to be engaged, their mind has to be engaged. So when we discount them for 5 long years because they are still young, when they go to school they will learn, it means we are delivering them to the system. We are not taking interest in their well-being. So this is one point. The second point, when they go to the public school from age 5 until they get to the junior high, this early elementary education, you must make sure that every day you debrief your child. Debriefing means you make them tell you and share with you what they encountered in the day, what was pleasant, what was not, what was new, what was old and reinforced, and what values were shared in the classroom, and what did he like that the kids shared in the classroom, and what did he like that he shared, so that the child from young age learns to be engaging and to be engaged, not to sit and listen and be quiet. This influences his immunity system, value immunity system, and it gives them the spirit and the courage to push back when needed and to cooperate as needed. This is something will help them later on when they get to the junior high to say no to something that they were not able to say at younger age. But they have to learn at young age. The other issue is we must teach our kids that 50 years from where they are or 40 years from where they are, one of their classmates is potentially going to be the senator, potentially going to be the Congress representative, potentially going to be the legislator in Richmond or somewhere, right? And that friend is only their peer, which means what? You could also compete. The floor is open for everyone. The field can have 10,000 people running. So our children should not discount their social or political skills or educational skills because somebody else has more white skin than I am. This should not be inhibiting or intimidating our children. But it takes parent education to get the children to understand this issue. Okay, I marked the left side and the right side mark here as the environment being anti-religion, anti-identity. Because religion divides people. I want us to think this statement. Religions divide people. Is it true? And a religion may unite people. Right? It depends whom you're looking to. Okay? Identity also can divide people and can unite people. It depends what attracts you. So we have to be careful that when we teach our children our faith, their belief system, their worship system, their worldview, that we have to teach them with it the most important element, which is the faith we believe in is not ours. We did not invent it. It is not Muhammad's faith. He did not write it down. It is a faith that comes from Allah to every human being. So the language should not be my belief or my faith. No, the faith I believe in. Right? The book I follow. It is not my book. I didn't write it. I don't own it. It is the book of Allah, if any, right? So we have to use language that the kids can use in public rather than indoctrinating language that is just parochially accepted. Okay. So in an environment that pays a very high price on nonconformity, here comes the peer pressure. So if you don't dress like us, that means you want to stand out, right? If you want to stand out, you will be a cast out. You don't play with us. And from young age, kids play that game on each other. Because as humans, we like to have a team. We like to have companions. We like to have a social network. So there is a price for kids to pay to be embraced and accepted. The price is conformity, 100% conformity. Stop doing that, the kids say to each other, right? Stop saying that. Why? Because it's offensive for someone, or it's not his language, or it's not his comfort zone. So the kids learn from young age, if I don't stop, they are going to kick me out of the group. So I better not open that issue. I better not say that word, right? And then as alternative, there is a language among kids. It could be foul language, it could be social language, it could be other issue language that they use among each other, and they keep feeding it to us. This is not what you say, this is what you say. So it's not only that they cage your language, they impose the language of the group. And whoever is more outspoken or more bullying, they will get their way in the group. And if the group acquiesces a bully, the bully becomes stronger and they lose the identity that they came with into the school because they need to please the bully. And bullying is real and it is a fact of life for our kids in school. So peer pressure does not only come in terms of religious influence. Peer pressure comes in every sphere of interaction between the kids in the school. Let's move. Okay, so an environment that if you look at what freedoms are promoted and what freedoms are restricted, you find that this is a fact. It's a sin-friendly environment. If you want to make any sin, nobody's going to tell you no, right? But don't do it in public, because if you get caught, somebody may feel ashamed and they will stop you, right? And don't do something that would hurt somebody else. Those are the only two limits. But if you want to do it outside the school, you can organize everything with your friends in the recess and then go do it out of the school, whether it is drugs, boyfriend, girlfriend, dancing class, anything. So the environment is really full of attractions in terms of young boys, young girls going to school, and they don't know what the rules of the engagement are, and they want to just enjoy themselves, right? So they get together as boys and girls, and music is okay, and there are some Muslim scholars who don't have a qualm with music. I do, because of certain reasons. And so our kids do not get a strong dose of immunity against the attractions. So they end up wanting to try, just to try. It just, have you ever smoked? I can give it to you, but not here. Let's get out of the school, okay? Get away from the bus, get away from the driver, and then. So they try a cigarette, then they try weeds, then they try hardcore drugs, then they try other things, theft to fund their habits and all of this. So where does it start? It starts with two kids whispering to each other. So whenever anybody wants to whisper something to you, you have to have your filters and antennas up, because something is going to penetrate through your head. If you don't accept it immediately, it plays in your head afterwards. So you need to raise your filters and antenna around your ears and around your eyes. So here it comes, sin-friendly environment. Marriage is very difficult. Marriage is a huge responsibility. Marriage means money. Money means negotiation. Negotiation means you must agree with me or else marriage is not going to work. And if it doesn't work, then what do? Let's stay friends. Let us stay friends, right? And this is an accepted part of the culture. Or let us marry after 5 years, after 10 years. What do we do in 5-10 years? We keep building ourselves. In this process, what they are building is emotional attachment and reckless behavior, much more than anything else. What does it do? A kiss doesn't hurt. A touch doesn't hurt. Okay? And with personal stories and family stories and everything else, they get so close to be intimate, and the only thing left is what we all fear the most. Okay? And I believe this is too prevalent to ignore. We must teach our kids how to deal with such kind of proposals and relationships. If we don't, then we are leaving them to their own environment to choose for them. Okay. So, the first thing that the kids learn when they go to school is there is such a thing called a notebook. Right? There is such a thing as your personal thoughts. And those notebooks and those thoughts, once they come to the teacher or to their friends or be spoken about in public, they are no private anymore. And kids could write all sorts of stuff about their home, about their life. And I've come across, by the way, kids who, for example, a young girl, she is about second grader or so, and her brother is a third grader. And she wrote, when the teacher said, get your journal, start writing something about your family. So she wrote the name of her brother, and she says, don't push me, right? Don't take my stuff. You slammed me on the face. Something that the girl is struggling with at home, right? Mom doesn't know. Mom is in the kitchen. The kids are studying or playing in the room, right? So she wrote this. It goes to the teacher. It ends up in the social service. It ends up in the child protection service. Something as innocent as what I am saying. This is a true, the family is a relative family. I know them very well. And this is something that our children need to know early on, that they should not hit each other. They should not injure each other. They should respect. So why do we wait for schools to teach kids how to protect each other instead of how to hurt each other? Why don't we teach it at home, at young age, so that our kids do not need social service to tell them what to do or what not to do? So we need to start early education, discipline, taking turns, respecting others, how to object to something, how to say no with respect, how to organize your time, how to organize your space. All of this are learnable skills for young children. And they learn it immediately as they go to school. So this is something that we need to protect our children from risking their entire life by just opening up to somebody because they did not open to us at home. Give them the chance to talk to you at home. Okay. Those notebooks and those books that the kids learn from, they come with lots of ideas. Ideas about the world, ideas about conflicts, ideas about wars and peace, hunger and famine, ideas about droughts, tornadoes, science and science fiction, about electronics, about so many things. Do we talk with our kids about those issues? Or do we only talk about the Quran and we barely have few minutes for few ayat and that is our parenting? I'm not saying that the Quran comes second to anything, but I'm saying, is it the whole thing? Is it the whole life? Do kids only need the memorization of the Quran, or do they also need to live the Quran in the real world? So we need to teach them about the real world. So there is a sunnah in this universe that there is no such a thing as space. Empty space is not part of the sunnah. What do I mean? If I take this bottle, right, and just pour it on the floor, now it's empty, right? Right? Now I have an empty bottle, right? No, it's not empty. It's full of air. What's the point? The point is, the part of your child's mind that you leave empty, somebody will fill it. The part you leave empty in your child's soul, somebody will fill it. The part you leave empty in your life, somebody will fill it. So there is no allowance for empty space, not in our body, not in our soul, not in our heart, not in our environment. So whatever we want in our environment, we have to bring it to the environment. And this means don't fight back. Lay your own ground. There are two ways to plant seeds in a ground. One is when the earth is tilth and it is ready to plant, the seeds will grow. Right? The tilthing is what you do with the child at young age. Very important. How do you lay the ground for your child to accept what you say as truth and fair and justice? This is very important. Our kids are now filled with ideas defining for them what is fun, what is pleasant, what is boring, what is very, very dangerous, what is likely to be liked, what is likely to be hated. So their message, their sense of feeling about things is formatted early on between them and their siblings, between them and their friends, and we have no part in this unless they fight. So when we limit our discussion with our kids only when they fight or when they do something wrong, we become like a prison guard. We don't become parents. We think we are correcting the wrong behavior, but the wrong behavior comes from the wrong ideas. And the wrong ideas come from an empty space that somebody filled it with something. Whether it is, this somebody could be a video game. It could be a TV show. It could be an internet anything. So the sources that are jumping on your child's head are too many for you to even compete. So if you start late, the ground has been laid down for you, and you will only be fighting against what they have already developed of ideas and habits, and everything you will always be trying to catch up. The kids will be always ahead of the game because they are living new ideas every day. So when you come late to the game, you don't impact the game that much. So lots of ideas and very skillful propagators. People who are good at what they are doing. Kids to kids are very attractive because they present something to their peers and they are laughing, it's acceptable, right? When they give new ideas about new things, for example, kids who introduce bad stuff to other kids, right? Don't they know that it hurts? They do. So why do they introduce it to others? Because they don't want to be alone. They want company. Evil also needs company. If righteousness needs company, evil also likes company. So we have to be very much ahead of the game, teaching our kids whom to pick as friends, what friends are for. When does somebody become your real friend? Is he the one who acquiesces you all the time? Is he the one who makes you laugh all the time? Is he the one who tells you I love you all the time? Or is it the one that stands for your interest? Is it the one who tells you no when no is due and yes when yes is due? So this knowledge, we assume that kids know it by our passive direction. So they see us praying, they know that we're praying, they know that we are Muslims. No, it's not enough. And today at Fajr, I was reading the ayat in Surah Al-Baqarah where Yaqub was on his deathbed. What does he tell his children? يا بني إن الله اصطفى لكم الدين فلا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. Oh my kids, Allah has chosen Islam to be your faith, so die not except as Muslims. This discussion, I don't believe that Yaqub started to teach kids Islam when he was on his deathbed. When he was on his deathbed, his kids were men, grown-up men, because he died at 147. I don't think Yusuf and his siblings were 3 years old. They were not. So what I'm saying is, he must have started early on right? And we see in the beginning of Surah Yusuf, from early on, he's teaching them values and stuff. So when he was talking on his deathbed, it is what is most important advice. Die not except as Muslims, which means live not except as Muslims. We can secure the death time, which means if I have to die only as a Muslim to be saved, then I have to live only as a Muslim 24/7. Because I don't guarantee tomorrow. I don't guarantee the end of the day. Right? So if I am keen to die as a Muslim, per his advice, I have to live as a Muslim 24/7. The minute I break away is a minute of risk. So you look at the ideas given by prophets to their children, the ideas of Luqman talking to his kids. This is where parents need to start. You need to start prophets as parents and see what prophets told their children, whether young or old. What were they focusing on? He is not telling them, what are you going to do about the land and the sheep and the farm? It's not his business. He leaves them. They have been raising sheep and cattle for years. They know how to handle this. But what they need to focus on, their fate. So he focuses on their fate. So here, boys and girls from early stage, and I want to reiterate what I said last time, that co-education has only been here for 120 years or so. What did public school do before that? They had girls and boys separate. So what generations have seen from 100 to 120 years until now was not the norm. It is like so many current norms that were not the norm 100 years ago or less. Alcohol was prohibited up until 1934. So 1934 is not 100 years away yet, right? Okay. Abortion was not on demand up until Roe v. Wade, okay, which is in the 70s. So abortion was not on demand as it is today. It was a taboo, right? 25 years ago, the word homosexuality was a taboo. Nobody could say it. Now it is not only the law, it is supported by the Constitutional Court. So norms are changing very rapidly. And we as a society as a whole, the American society, us included, we are on a sliding slope. We need to bring our moral strength to pull this country back to some of the values that people may be yearning to or working against. The two-income family is only a phenomenon of the First World War, when millions of men went to war and never came back. Women ended up being offered the job of their husbands. Come and fill in his place, right? We'll train you. Women started to get down. It did not stop at widows. It became now two-family income is the norm, and the one-family income is the exception, right? The norms are not working for the children and the family. Now the children are more likely to be raised by babysitting, by nursery schools, right? Early childhood education, and as such, they are not necessarily raised according to their family value. It is according to social values, which we explained in the beginning. And this is dangerous. The society needs us. The society needs a community that stands out for what is right and stands out for what is morally protective and nurturing for the family and for the kids. Schools cannot substitute parents. Values picked at schools, some of them are great, some of them are not producing the greatest generation. The values that generations are keeping are being trimmed every generation. Some values are being thrown out. We need to keep as much of the good values as we can in the society, in the school, in the business, so that we can have a safe society for everybody. And Allah tells us in the Quran, وَلْتَكُنْ مِنْكُمْ أُمَّةٌ يَدْعُونَ إِلَى الْخَيْرِ وَيَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَيَنْهَوْنَ عَنِ الْمُنْكَرِ. There must be amongst you a group. An ummah here means a group that enjoins what is good and forbids what's evil, and to believe in Allah. We need to bring Allah to young children in their public school, even though some would like to make it their God, but there is such a thing as a universal God. Call it the Creator, period. It's enough. There are such values that everybody could agree to. We want the society to accept those values. Extramarital sex comes from teen sex. We need to stop teens from experimenting with their life in the wrong direction. And the only way is for parents to rally together. There is, by the way, a group in Fairfax County. It's called Parents Against Bad Books in Fairfax County, BABIS. Parents Against Bad Books in Schools. Why? Why did they form? These are not Muslim parents, by the way. These are American people who are trying to hold to what is left of the values. And instead of handing kids, books that speak about incest or homosexuality or a marriage between a man and a man, they want books to reflect the value of the society. We need to back them up. We need to stand with these forces to bring the society back to no children out of wedlock, no children to be thrown in the back door of the hospital. We have to respect life, and we have to respect children. We have to respect people's freedoms. But if we are not party to the game, we will never have any influence. Our Islam will only be shown through the media, the terrorist religion. If you don't like it, you have the chance to change it. Join the community where the community is right, and guide the community where you think they are wrong. And when they guide you to the way that is good, accept it. We are a community that has a set of values that are universal. Everybody loves to have a stable family. Now we have families where only women work, and there is such a thing as a sit-home dad. So now the pyramid is standing on its head. How long can it stand before falling? And how much power and strength it needs to stabilize it on its head for long? It's going to fall apart unless we start taking responsibility to nurture the society with the values it used to have. We are not importing Middle Eastern values or anything. We just want to pull back and take a deep breath and think, where are we heading with this society? Yes.
Would you like to? Yeah, we only recognize.
We can take one issue and spend an hour on it. Debriefing is a huge lecture by itself. But I believe it is a must that you talk to your children about their day in school, and don't make it formal. Ask about the friends he mentioned their name before. How is Johnny? What is he doing? Things like this. Get them used to talk to you informally. Don't make it formal. But do not miss big issues and big flags coming in their discussion. Very good. There is such a suggestion that I may throw at everybody here. Make a box, wooden or cartoon box. And this is the electronics box, where everybody turns off their electronics completely, puts it in the box, close the box, and the family time starts. And the family time also is another lecture, but we'll get to this some other time, inshallah. Sensitivity means conformity. Yes. I hope that you and the rest of the sisters here would have your own session when you share experience. Some of you have older kids, some of you have young kids. So sharing this kind of experience, how did your presence tone down the racist atmosphere? Because I'm sure it did, right? How did you deal with insensitive racist comments, right? Not anti-Santa Claus comments, but racist comments that come out of the kids. Yes. One of the other things that I urge you to consider, our kids sometimes are more sophisticated than we are. And most of the time, actually, some of them show exceptional sophistication. So if for example, a child says Christmas and this, tell him, okay, why don't you go ahead and do an internet search on Christmas history and do a research on Jesus' birthdays. How many days was he born in? Okay? Because information is power. We don't want our kids to be complacent when it comes to seeking knowledge. We want to empower them, not with just putting ideas in their head, but opening the doors for them to inquire, to research. They have the capacity to do it. So don't underestimate their ability to discover truth even on their own. Yes.
It's not just Christmas, it's other holidays.
No, I understand. Searching everything is good.
But I'm saying, you have to history.
Are you aware, some of us adults may not know, riba was prohibited by law here. In this nation, it's called usury.
Yes.
So search it, you will find it. So this nation was mostly based on two groups that came from Europe. Okay? Let us focus on the group that matters most, the religious group that fled persecution from Europe. Right? And mind you, they were not escaping or running from the Muslim land. Right? So what is said in history is important, but what is not said is more important. They don't tell you that they are not running from Muslims enslaving Europeans or... No, it was denomination against denomination, a group against a group. If we read even the history of the creation or development of denominations in Christianity. So we need our children to understand the depth of this history and the wealth of the values that this nation was based on. You read Thomas Jefferson or any one of the founding fathers, and their writings are very important and enriching for the kids. Okay. Jazakumullah khair. Let's go for the Isha.